Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
And good afternoon. That was a good start, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's morning,
turn
David.
my mic on. Good afternoon or morning, and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm still on afternoon mode. Good afternoon and morning, whatever, 11 o'clock in the morning. And welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm David Taffet. I didn't think I'd be able to get that out. I'm here with Lerone Landis, the late Patti Fink. We have a guest today. It is C.D. Kirven. She's a local LGBT activist. Good way to describe
That's
you?
a mild term.
Yeah. I was going to say, now she's in the big league. She's national.
Oh, she is national.
Local, state, and federal, and national,
and
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, C.D. Kirven. C.D., you were just up in Washington on the 25th and 26th of March. The Supreme Court heard two cases. On the 25th, they heard the case.
26th.
It was the 26th and 27th?
I remember this because it was
your
birthday.
birthday. 26th and 27th? Okay. Supreme Court met, heard Proposition 8, talked about it. They wanted to hear about standing. They wanted to hear about taking away somebody's rights. Then the DOMA case the next day involved Edie Windsor, who had to pay $365,000 worth of inheritance tax had she been married to a man instead of to a woman, and she was legally married to this woman. She would have paid zero. You were up in Washington, though. Why?
Well, basically, Get Equal was a part of the coalition.
And what was the coalition?
The coalition was put together because of the National Organization of Marriage had a march for traditional marriage. And we didn't
Which
want...
was pathetic, by the way. I watched it on C-SPAN and I said, this all they got?
Yeah, that's about all they had.
What did they have? I didn't even...
On the mall, kind of down. They
couple
had
hundred
maybe a
people?
couple hundred people
Yeah.
in a big
Okay,
stage.
good.
Mostly music.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was very creative. I got to give that much to them. But so basically, we wanted to have a counter protest. We didn't want the National Organization of Marriage voice be the only voice outside the Supreme Court
Sure.
during this historic decision. So a coalition of groups got together and planned a counter protest, which wound up having about 180 rallies across the United States, including the rally that was in front of the Supreme Court.
And we had one here in Dallas.
Yeah, me and Daniel Cates coordinated with other organizations. We had one in Fort Worth, Denton, one here in Dallas. There was one in Arlington, even though we didn't coordinate that. So.
Right. So you're in front of the Supreme Court, and I know how you get riled up. And I have lots of pictures of you at protests. Usually you have the megaphone in front of your mouth. I was going to bring one this morning. I looked for one, and I could not find one because I thought you'd be more comfortable speaking with the megaphone. Right?
Well, I could have brought Aaron's. Aaron has one.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to ask.
She's always there. So.
Anyway, so we're just getting into this a little bit. So that's what it was. About 8,000 people attended in front of the Supreme Court. They had a variety of speakers. They probably knew who most of the speakers were. I guess Get Equal, they asked, would you like to have a speaker? And Get Equal said, oh, God, would we? This is HRC organizing this. We're going to give them CD.
That's kind of exactly what happened.
Yeah,
actually.
and I know. Oh, believe me, I know that. And they said, yeah, we're going to have CD, and we'll shake things up. So they made you submit your speech,
Right.
as you usually do, because when you speak here, you always submit your speech to me so that I can cross out everything. You speak so extemporaneously. I was surprised you actually had a written speech to submit.
Most of the time, I do write my speeches.
Oh, okay, okay.
I just memorize.
You know what you're going to say.
Right.
Okay. And then what happened?
Basically, to make a long story short, I know probably everybody's sick of this story because it seems like it's like kind
No,
of like
you
the
just
commissioner's court thing. It kind of spread. I'm like, what is going on? What are they talking about? It's funny. Moments like that only take a few minutes to happen, and this only took a few minutes to happen. So basically, you turned your speech in about 15 minutes before we were getting, to give the speech. They gave you back your speech with the changes, so scratched out or whatever. So you just go, okay, and you give your speech. Well,
And Patti, did you see the...
I saw it.
I mean, it's really just a mess.
Right.
It's not really... In 15 minutes to try to read through this and... Not easy.
How long before did you give them the speech? Like a days before?
2 days before.
And they didn't give it back till 15 minutes
Yes.
before you're supposed to stand up?
Yes.
They didn't want any. They
wow.
didn't want an arguing about.
It took them 2 days to edit that?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
It took them 5 minutes to edit this. It took them 2 days to give it back to her because they didn't want her going back to her suitcase and reprinting her original speech.
Right, what I probably would have
There
done.
you
or look for the original one I had.
When I
kept
first
in
talked
my
to you,
jacket.
what was my first question?
Why didn't you have your original speech? And I did in my jacket, but I left my jacket somewhere, so I would have reached in my jacket.
And just...
I mean, yeah, what were they going to... Well, I'll let you finish the story, then I'll ask that question.
Okay, so basically, I wasn't the only one whose speech was edited. If you could remember the queer undocumented worker, they required him to change it from undocumented to dreamer. And so basically, this all happened about 15 minutes before you give your speech. And I think I'm a speaker, so it probably didn't hinder me too much. I think I stumbled more than I normally do, only because I was nervous because there was cameras everywhere.
8,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a historic moment.
Although we have more than that listening to you right now.
Right. I'm not screaming in demanding justice right now.
Just wait.
You're not a speaker. You're an orator. Let's just be clear about that. When CD's talking.
A justice complainer, maybe. So basically, you gave a speech. Well, we had a position because Get Equal was a part of the coalition. So we were right there by the podium. And Alex Rangel, who's a part of Get Equal Texas, he brought the flags. He brought a rainbow flag, huge, bisexual pride flag, trans pride flag. And basically, so after I gave my speech, we just decided to be there kind of in front of the Supreme Court, waving our pride flags. Alex walked off with the rainbow flag because they wanted it for pictures on the other side. So as Brian agreed to wave the trans flag. And that's when Karen asked one of her members to come up to Brian, and I was standing right beside Brian and say, "What does that flag mean?" And Brian said, "It's a trans pride flag."
Now, wait a minute. Okay, a lot of people listening might not recognize a trans pride flag, but this is somebody who works for HRC, which is the largest civil rights organization in the country dedicated to gay and lesbian, bisexual and transgender civil rights.
Right.
It's bigger than any of the transgender civil rights organizations, and there are 3 or 4 national ones, but HRC is bigger.
Right.
And they were like
somebody who worked for them, that would be as if somebody who worked for the National Transgender Education, I have my names mixed
Network,
up.
I think.
Not knowing what a gay pride flag was.
But there were like 180 organizations in this
coalition.
This coalition, but HRC is clearly the largest.
Well, HRC was
one.
the organizer of the whole thing.
Right.
They controlled the stage. They controlled who the speakers were, the order of the speakers. They invited. Somebody has to do the coordinating. They're right there in Washington. Why not?
Right.
And Karen Quimby is a field associate for HRC.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she's in Dallas now. I mean, she's in San Antonio. Yeah.
And she was in Austin last weekend when we were at the Texas Stonewall's Equality Forward Summit.
And she's the one who prompted the question, what is that flag?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so.
And then from there, he told her the flag. So then the woman went back to Karen and told her what the flag meant. And so Karen walked over and asked Brian to remove the flag from behind the podium. Because where we were standing is right behind the podium, which all the national cameras and even some outside the country, there was at least 10 or 15, 20 different cameras from different stations right there. So she said, would you please, because it was waving with the bisexual pride flag and at times with the rainbow flag, she said, would you remove the transgender flag? And Brian asked why, and she said, well, honestly, I don't want to explain to the national press what it means. And he said, what? And she's like, I don't want to have to explain what it means. And second of all, this is about marriage equality. This is not about the trans community. It's not the time for that.
I didn't know that I didn't know transgender people were not part of the marriage fight.
Because
Right.
transgender people don't need to get married or have a partner. They just
Or getting denied marriage rights.
Exactly.
In
I
states.
mean,
when they transition, they obviously have no interest in ever being with another person because
none whatsoever.
Right, and that's kind of what
What
Brian said. He
is
said,
she nuts?
I have no
Exactly.
idea.
What was
stood
she
his
smoking that
ground.
day?
He stood his ground. He said, in other words, trans is a part of marriage equality.
We
want to get married too.
You know, I was talking to Nell Gaither about this case and what she thought about Karen Quimby being in San Antonio doing field organizing for a human rights commission that would be the organization in San Antonio that dealt with discrimination against gay people, racial, religious discrimination, and discrimination against people who are transgender. She said, I don't think she's the right, Nell's so polite, I don't think she's the right person to be organizing on anything regarding transgender rights.
Exactly.
You know, she was.
And Nell was being polite.
She
That
was
was
being
polite.
polite
She was being
because
very polite.
she's not trying to make her lose her job, but, you can't advocate for me if you don't even know what the symbol of, or that marriage is a transgender issue too. It's just, that's the whole point of marriage equality, that
Marriage
Everybody-
equality is an everybody issue.
everybody
It is.
wants
That's
to
the whole
be.
point.
Yeah.
What equality issue is
Exactly.
everybody.
If everybody.
You know, it reminds
Marry
me
who
though.
you want.
It reminds me though of when you were in the commissioner's court and they take the vote on. And I'm saying when CD was in the commissioner's court and she had testified for transgender inclusion in the non-discrimination policy, and Maureen Dickey, who was one of our county commissioners, who had voted for sexual orientation inclusion, voted against. And when she was asked why, she said, well, you have to draw the line somewhere.
That's just so insane.
What do you mean you have to draw the
Draw the
line?
line.
Equality is
gone-
equality. It's not like equality for, okay, we'll move the line to here, but we can't go all the way and make everybody equal.
Now, forgive me, because I don't know who this woman is. Is she straight?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming, I'm saying.
No,
but-
she's a lesbian.
She
Oh,
is.
okay.
Okay.
I'm assuming she was just because, she works for HRC. HRC does have some straight
Yeah, I know.
employees.
Yeah, they do have straight employees.
From,
so that's why.
from what I know, she's an.
Okay,
she's a
so
lesbian.
anyway, so what happened? Brian took the flag and
But she asked him to remove the flag, basically, and he said, in other words, trans is about marriage equality too. And so at that point, me and her started to have an exchange, which I don't want to air on public radio. And another woman walked up to Brian while I was talking to Karen, and she, I overheard her saying, screaming to him, she was going to burn that F flag
Yeah.
if he didn't remove it now. And at that point,
Was she from the coalition too?
I do not know.
Oh, okay.
At that point, Brian was very upset, and he's been a victim of hate crimes in the past. So it's just
so
I'm
he's
sure
sensitive. He's
right,
sensitive
he's
to that
sensitive.
kind of attack, especially from his own community.
Especially, yeah, exactly.
Right. So at that point, I think she tried to motion towards the flag. So Brian at that point dropped the flag and walked off. And I turned around and saw him walk. He kind of walked off. He was crying. I'd stopped talking to Karen at that point, tried to console him, but he was pretty much unconsolable because I'm sure he was getting flashbacks from a previous experience. So I turned around and the girl was still there. I grabbed I gave back I gave the bisexual flag to somebody, and I grabbed the trans flag off the ground, and I said, you know what, trans pride is gay pride, and gay pride is trans pride, and I made sure that flag waved proudly the rest of the rally.
You know what you should have offered Karen Quimby? You should have said, when she said she doesn't want to explain to the press what that means, I'll be happy to.
Right.
If you can't do your job, hey, it's my job with Get Equal. I'll do it.
Right.
Now,
I
they
should've.
gave you back, this is one of the things that I love, and this is where it really says to me the kind of odd control. They handed the speech back, and it's just one page, so it's not like she was going on and on and on and on.
No, we only were given 2 minutes.
The worst that she could have done It was one page. Yeah, and this is not a 2-minute speech even. So.
Right. Well, you know me, I got the crowd
They
riled up
handed
in
it
the
back
middle.
to her. She asked why they wanted these changes. It was because she was, this is our dear CD, too aggressive and dark.
But aggressive and dark is you.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Okay, so
I own that.
Line 2, here's one of the changes. CD wrote, "It has been replaced by discontent and a demand for justice." And they changed that to, "It has been replaced by a call for justice." Now, can you imagine, you know how CD gets up there and she starts getting riled up, and, you know, CD is going to say what?
Right. I'm going to say, what do you want? And they're going to say equality. When do you want it? Now. That's what I'm saying. You know me, I'm going to chant my way to heaven. That's what I'm fixing to do.
What's the difference between a call and a demand to you?
Well, you know, for me, and I think this was something that came from Malcolm X. And, hey, I don't care about if I have to be the Malcolm X of this thing. I really don't care about being liked or disliked. I just want my rights. If you want to get rid of me, give me my rights. But basically, if you ask for something, you're asking for somebody to give you permission to give you something. You stole
that. As if they
have the right.
They own them or something.
Right. Here's the thing. You didn't have the right to take it from me in the first place. So why am I going to ask you for something back that you stole?
I'm
demanding back
it.
something that already belonged to me.
Right. I'm the exact same way with that. I mean, I read this and I said, oh, whoa, that changes the meaning to be, oh, Supreme Court, please give me my rights. No, Supreme Court, I want you to look at the facts of this case. Every single lower court has ruled. They haven't been kind of equivocating on it.
They've been crystal clear.
No, they've been crystal clear. This is discriminatory. This is discriminatory. This is the Prop 8 decision. 75 pages of knocking down every single word that the defendants of Prop 8 brought to the court. Every word. If you haven't read that decision, it's brilliant.
Who found most of their evidence on the internet.
Right. That means there's brilliant people out there writing stuff that needs to be paid attention to.
The expert on traditional marriage, he testified, actually, that's where he found his information. No, I'm not asking you for justice. I'm telling you, you cannot be the Supreme Court and rule against me. You're demanding it.
Right.
Calling for it's idiotic. In one place, you use the word bigotry. That the power to shatter bigotry's civic infringement. They took out the word bigotry.
And what did they to put?
They didn't replace it.
They didn't replace it. Just took it out. Lies within our ability to embrace. You said radical inclusion.
Right.
Because radical inclusion to you means
everybody.
Everybody, and to them, no. That's too dark, or is that too aggressive? No, we just want to be included. So please. You said now is the time to make justice a reality, and they changed that to equality. That one I can go with. That's an edit. That's not a, maybe a.
Well, I mean, what's the difference between justice and equality?
Yeah.
The whole thing is, David, about censorship. Why censor anybody?
And when you think about it, I think justice is really what we are looking for from the court system.
Yes, from the court system.
Yeah.
Because justice would be equality.
Justice
looking for justice
would be giving this 80. How old is she?
Is she 83?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Her 300.
Gorgeous for 83, by the way.
Oh, she is.
Funky too.
I want those jeans. Seriously.
Well, you're seeing these are coming up on
I'm
83.
coming up on it. But justice would be giving her $365,000 back that she wouldn't have had to pay if she didn't have to live through a lifetime of discrimination.
That's true.
We need to take a break.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the glorious return of the greatest Russian rock and roll band in the universe? Coming Saturday, April 13th, Igor and the Red Elvises are coming to the Sons of Herman Hall. Don't miss out on a night of unheralded rock and roll fun and dancing madness. Bear witness to the happy masses shaking it to the rhythm. Get your tickets now at knon.org, Phil's Records, or Forever Young in Grand Prairie. There'll be a free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. Don't miss this, or you'll forever be trying to make up for the lost fun. Igor and Red Elvises at the Sons of Herman Hall in Dallas, Saturday, April 13th. Doors open at 8 p.m. for all ages. A free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. The Red Elvises played 2 sets, all Red Elvises all night long. This Weird Warren from KNON's own Sonic Burrito Show, and I'll be your master of ceremonies. The Sons of Herman Hall, located at 3414 Elm Street. This is a KNON benefit event.
So much pain, we don't know how to be but angry.
Statistics say 1.5 million teenagers experience dating abuse every year.
Only 33% report it.
Let's break the cycle.
Love is not abuse.
If you or someone you know is experiencing teen dating abuse, get help now.
For immediate, confidential assistance, call 866-331-9474 or log on to loveisrespect.org.
You can also text Love Is to 77054.
To learn more about what abuse is and the resources available to you, visit loveisnotabuse.com.
You don't have to be afraid.
Call 866-331-9474.
Store the number in your phone for future use.
866-331-9474.
Know how to get help for yourself or someone you know.
We now have fewer than 500 copies left. That's right, fewer than 500 copies left of the KNON Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 Blues CD. Texas Blues Radio features great blues from Tutu Jones, Blues Boy Bo, Buddy Whittington, Andrea Dawson, Kirkland James, Sonny Collie, Johnny Red and the Roosters, the Chris Watson Band, the Two Tones, Rough Cut Blues Band, Jeff Stone and Charlie Love, Dave Millsap, Sirloin and the Ass Kicking Machine, Michael J. and the Paul Bird Band, and JJ and the Detonators. Get your copy now at Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie, Record Town in Fort Worth, and in Dallas at Bill's Records. Destined to be a Dallas Blues collectible, a very limited amount of vinyl copies can be found at Forever Young Records, the sponsor of this great blues project. CD downloads are now only $11 at cdbaby.com. Whether you get it as a download, on vinyl, or on CD, all the proceeds benefit KNON. More information at knon.org.
This is Alex Hanselka, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM, Dallas.
And you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis, and our guest is C.D. Kirven, an activist with Get Equal. She's on the national board of Get Equal. She was Dallas Voice's Person of the Year this last year,
Congrats, CD.
If there's a rally,
cool.
CD's going to be in the middle of it.
Yes, she will.
Before we go back to CD, you have an entertainment report, don't you?
Yeah.
Why don't we go to the entertainment report?
Okay, all right. Minnesota Vikings punter and gay rights turn advocate Chris Clume made news last year when he published that letter blasting a Maryland senator who opposed marriage equality, and it got a lot of buzz, so much so that we really couldn't even... I couldn't read the letter on the air because of stuff it said, but it was a great letter. Anyway, an excerpt from that letter was used in a radio spot to help defeat Minnesota's anti-gay constitutional amendment that banned gay marriage. And now that radio spot has won the award for the best radio advertisement in the country in 2012. And here it is.
Are you Chris Cluey, the plumber?
I'm not a plumber, I'm a punter. Who are you guys?
We're the government. We'll ask the questions. Did you call an elected official a lustful monster?
No, I said he wouldn't turn into a lustful monster if gay people could get married.
You can't go around calling elected officials lustful monsters.
Actually, I can. This is America.
You married, Cluey?
I am.
To a woman?
Yes.
Good. That's the way we like it.
My wife and I are parents to 2 terrific daughters.
We know. That's why we're here.
You're here because of our kids?
Yes. We don't like the way you're raising them.
What?
You don't care if they grow up to marry a man or a woman.
My wife and I believe when our girls are adults, they should be able to marry whoever they love. We're Americans. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes, we know. That's why we're changing the Constitution.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, we can. We just have to trick enough people into agreeing with us. Now say yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Come on.
No, not gonna do it. No.
Don't vote discrimination into Minnesota's Constitution. Just vote no. Let's show the world that love really is bigger than government.
Paid for by Minnesotans for Equality.
How could you not like that guy?
That's awesome.
And, it helped because the amendment was defeated.
Hallelujah.
So, yeah. Academy Award nominated actor and director James Franco is going to be honored for his gay rights advocacy at the 15th annual Miami Gay and Lesbian Film Festival later this month. He's done a lot of work on GLBT cinema in front and behind the camera. Now, though straight himself, James has portrayed at least 4 different gay characters in different films. And his latest film that's going to be shown at this film festival is called Interior Leather Bar, where he creates some of the scenes from the 1980 controversial film Cruising. Y'all ever seen that film? Mm-hmm. It is kind of, especially for its time.
It's dark and aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive.
Hey, call me James Franco.
I love him. And last, there's 2 celebrity engagements to give a congratulations to. Designer and talk show host Nate Berkus is engaged to his boyfriend Jeremiah Brent, and Sarah Gilbert. Yes, that's Sarah Gilbert, the actress and now talk show host of The Talk, is engaged to singer-songwriter Linda Perry. So good for them.
That's pretty cool.
The Entertainment Report. We're talking today to C.D. Kirven. She's a board member, national board member of Get Equal. She was arrested in Nancy Pelosi's office in D.C. So how did that go for you?
That went very well. Hi, Nancy. Give me a call.
I want to go back to the flag incident. Okay, once you started waving the flag, the trans flag, did they try and get it away from you, or did they just back off? How did the whole thing kind of wrap up?
Here's what I've told several other media outlets. As dark and aggressive as I am, the exchange, and I think that I'm given this kind of image where I'm the angry black woman, and I've embraced that image because you can't always control what people think of you. And yeah, you know what? I'm black. Yeah, I'm angry because I don't have no rights. So yeah, I'm angry about it. And so I don't want to play into that image too much, but there was some things said back and forth during the incident and after the incident, but mostly we turned it around for Get Equal because we try to be radically inclusive. So we did a chant, and if you look on my page, there's some pictures where I'm marching up and down with the flag, and there's a video where we're just chanting about it, because my thing is you shouldn't isolate anybody in our community. We have the most beautiful, the most diverse community, and we should leverage that in using our ability to get rights for us instead of letting that divide us.
I agree.
Yeah, and if you look at any news coverage at all, you'll see the trans flag in any news picture that's there, because CD made sure. Oh, he's snapping and ran over. Flag.
You know what's so insane to me? It's really insane. And I used to serve on the HRC steering committee here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I was on their National Board of Governors.
You were.
I did, good 6, 7, 8 years with HRC very intensely. But
don't use the word intensely.
Okay. Very mildly. Yeah. But they were the ones who did the equal sign, like on Facebook with the red.
Yes.
That just took off, and I'm so proud and so moved by how that was embraced in whatever form it came in from our many, many, many allies.
Yes.
Straight people. Our family, our coworkers, our neighbors, people just really took off with that, and you can still see it pervasively all over Facebook.
A lot of people are planning to keep that on their Facebook page until the Supreme Court ruling.
Right, and that would be till June, the end of June. And so it strikes me as bizarre, almost, that gay, lesbian, bisexual people cannot stand unequivocally with our trans brothers and sisters. When we could have hundreds of thousands and millions of people around the country stand with us, and we embrace that, we want that, we need that, why can we not, without hesitation, as a movement, stand with our transgender brothers and sisters in this time where we're fighting for our rights, and they are included?
Yeah, why do you think that is, CD?
I'm not quite sure, but I think that basically the move and the push, and I'm not anti-HRC. I want you to say that.
Of course not.
I just want them to really be more inclusive. I think the push of that in the mainstream media to make gay and lesbian as normal as heterosexuality has caused the community to take a heterosexual perspective towards the trans community. And for me, you can't discriminate against one person when you're still being discriminated against. It's like me being a woman and discriminating against homosexuality, or me being black and discriminating against homosexuality. It's stupid. It's just plain stupid. But I think that we've made this push for normalcy and to be accepted unequivocally, that we've also decided to leave some people behind. And that's what equality is about. It's about not leaving anyone behind. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be a part of that old normal. I want to be a part of a new normal.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of, I don't know if it's a well-kept secret or not, but a lot of people, heterosexual people, are surprised that there's not this, we're not holding hands and singing Kumbaya in the gay community, the GLBT community. Well, I'll say the GLB versus the T community. Not everybody in our community understands it. And,
it's not just about understanding it. I think there's outright bigotry.
Just like
we have racism, we have sexism in our community.
We do. The word bigotry is...
you can't use that.
You can't use that.
Well, discrimination.
Yeah. Well, but you're absolutely right, Patty. Some of it is flat out bigotry. But I'm like you, Patty. Okay, fine. You don't get it, whatever that means, but we're all together. That's just insane what this woman prompted to do at this rally. Why would you do that?
Last week, GEAR, which is the transgender group at the Resource Center Dallas, had a speaker come in, and the speaker was Amanda Simpson, who is the highest-ranking transgender presidential appointee. Openly transgendered presidential appointee. Delightful person, fabulous speaker, but more than 100 transgender people showed up for the talk and for the reception.
It's a big deal. I was thrilled when President Obama appointed Amanda Simpson.
Yeah, that's
why weren't more other gay people there? It was me, and Brian and I went, and a couple of other straight people who were winning ally awards, but that was it.
I didn't hear about it.
I would have been there. More people did not.
I didn't
she
hear about
was
it either.
Fabulous. I mean, I'm not talking about she was fabulous talking about transgender issues. She's just a fabulous speaker and warm and wonderful, and get her talking about what she actually does. Right over the head, because you couldn't have a more qualified person in that position. But there weren't. Why wasn't the gay community there too? It was a fabulous speaker.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah.
And my thing is with being an ally is not. And we, as the LGBT community or gays and lesbians, tell people like this all the time. It's that Martin Luther King quote. Eventually silence becomes betrayal. Mm-hmm. You can stand there and not say anything and say, well, I'm not discriminating against transgenders, but if you don't speak up when you see it, or you don't stand up as an ally and say that's not okay, or even advocate for them on behalf of them. I advocate for it. I'm not transgendered, but I am proud they're our community, and if they need me as an advocate, I'll stand in.
And here's where I knew, bad. Do you know how many people there thanked me for coming? What do you mean thank me for coming? I came because I wanted to hear the speaker. She's a great speaker. She's a nice person. And she's a presidential appointee who's in charge of acquiring all technical equipment for the Army.
It's kind of an important job.
It kind of is.
I was like, wow.
It kind
and she
of
came
is.
from leading a big division at Raytheon.
No, she headed one of the companies at Raytheon. is what she did. The Advanced Missiles Division.
Wow.
Kind of important. It's just a little bit.
Amazing woman.
I mean, we're talking about somebody who, it was like she's a pilot. Oh, what is she rated to fly? Everything. It's like that's the level.
It's like Lynn Conway, who's a male to female transgender woman who's transitioned long ago, decades ago, and overcame the big problem with developing a CPU, the mathematical problem that gave us the resolution that she came up with, gave us the CPU, which our entire stuff. She's a transgender woman.
So,
and when she comes to Dallas, they all come. Engineers from everywhere. Hi-ya.
It's kind of like, why is this surprising? It's like saying, ooh, did you hear that this gay person became a such? What does their sexual orientation have to do with whether or not they can design missiles? Or it has nothing to do with anything.
Well, I mean, like most people, and even celebrities say, I've heard George Clooney say, this is a civil rights battle of our time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, and if you look at past civil rights battles, there's been people on both sides. And it's like when you're an ally, and even in our community, in the LGBT community, are you going to be on the right side of history, or are you going to be on the wrong side? Transgenders are a part of our community, and we need to embrace that.
CD, this is changing, we're switching gears a little bit. How did you get involved in activism?
Well, I think...
Pissed her off.
I think I've kind of been.
We shouldn't use the word
disturbingly.
That's too aggressive.
I think I've been passionate.
She was mildly annoyed.
This is what I'm saying. People think of me as angry. It's passion, people. It's passion. Don't ask any of my ex-girlfriends, but it is passion. It's not anger. I think I've been that way since I was little. I wrote an article that went over to APY when I was 16 about corporal punishment. And it led to me having a flight to Washington, D.C. It led to some restrictions like the permission slips. And now you don't see it as much. It's kind of grown back, but back then it was a big deal. And then, the Rodney King thing. I was 16. I had a cutlass. I said, release Rodney King, F the police on the other side. And I was driving around Dallas, and my dad and mom heard about it, and they were like, go find her. They were like, don't you know you can get yourself killed? So I've been doing that since I was 16 years old. And then I think here in this community, it was the One Man's Trash is Another Man's Treasure with Legacy of Success Foundation, where was trying to save the food pantry program, which it was going out of business. And then once I started getting publicity around my community-wide rummage sale, other people started donating, and it wound up saving the food pantry program. So it's kind of been a thing that I've been doing. I've been getting angry since I was 16 years old.
You've been getting passionate.
You're a passionate woman.
And it is funny because of the way CD delivers a speech. You're up there and but you're not angry when you're doing it. You're, like you said, I see you as being passionate also.
Right. I think it's just, I learned a long time ago, because I think when John was doing the interview about the Person of the Year award, he was asking, did you get speech lessons? I mean, what drove you to public speaking? And I've never had speech lessons, but I tell you, it was that Prop 8 rally. It was over 2,000 people in front of City Hall, and Jesse Garcia was over the rally. And I remember I came there with my board, marriage is a civil right or whatever, and I was just so inside angry that the majority could vote on a minority, and that anybody could say love was wrong. So I was filled with all these emotions and words inside. And so when I got there and people were, there was all these young people there, I was so amazed. I was so proud of Dallas. And people were up there reading from the thing, and it was not that the quality of the words, it was there was no passion behind it, and I was angry at the moment, and I had so much to say. And I remember telling Jesse, I said, Jesse, I said, you gotta let me up there. He's like, are you crazy? This has been going on for a week. These people have written speeches. You just can't get up there. Do you even know what you're gonna say? I said, Jesse, I was born for this moment. Just give me 2 minutes. And so I got up there, and honestly, I don't even remember what I said. But I remember this roar coming from the crowd, and I just remember letting what I had inside of me flow outside of me. That's why anybody can be an activist, if you're passionate enough about something. And I think I let all that anger and fear and hurt feelings just pour out of me. You know what I mean? And I think people connected it. No anger. No fear. I let all that passion and upset concern and derivative of like pour out of me.
Thank you for censoring yourself to the way we like to present things here on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis. We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, AM Law Group presents a blues legend in a historic venue. This is Greg Smith here to tell you about Bobby Rush at the Sons of Herman Hall on Saturday, April the 27th. That's right, I'll be hosting a legend live and up close in this intimate venue. Get your tickets now and don't miss out and see a complete Bobby Rush show. Joining Bobby Rush will be Little Jimmy and his Feedback Band. Fort Worth party people will have a free Bobby Rush party bus leaving from the Silver Eagle bus station. More information is at knon.org. And if the Grammy-nominated Bobby Rush wasn't enough, we'll have a free dinner from Daddy Jack's Fort Worth and South Lake locations. Get your tickets now at knon.org. Bill's Records, Forever Young Records, and Comp Cleaners in Fort Worth. This is a KNON Blues benefit. Bobby Rush and Little Jimmy and his Feedback Band. April the 27th at the Sons of Herman Hall, 3414 Am Street in Dallas. Presented by AM Law Group and sponsored in part by Top Dollar Tax Service, Silver Eagle Bus Charter, and Daddy Jack's.
Project 143 gives orphans the opportunity to leave their orphanage for the summer and visit an American host family. Photos and bios are now available online. For more information or to be an orphan's family this summer, Project 143 at 720-263-7143 or project143.com. Because 143 million orphans worldwide need help. Consider hosting an orphan this summer with Project 143.
This is William, your videographer for the KNON talk shows. You can watch Lambda Weekly by going to the KNON.org website. Click on schedules to the left side of your screen, choose Lambda Weekly's page. Scroll to the bottom of that page, then choose your favorite show to watch or download. This show will be ready for viewing by lunchtime Tuesday. Have a great day.
This is Kimberly Truex of the GLBT Wedding Expo, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink. Our guest today is C.D. Kirven. We were talking during the break about something that went on at a Missouri hospital. Lerone.
Yeah, well, we're talking about things that make us passionate. This is a story that makes me insanely passionate. We talk about all of the benefits that come with civil marriage and why it's so important, and this is one of them. A gay man was arrested this week in Missouri, in Missouri hospital after refusing to leave the bedside of his sick partner. Roger Gorley went to the Research Medical Center in Kansas City, Missouri, to visit his partner for 5 years, but when he got there, a member of Allen's family asked him to leave. Gorley refused to leave. Hospital security allegedly handcuffed him and forcefully removed him from the premises. Now he cannot visit his partner at all because of a restraining order filed against him. Now, I've read a follow-up on this, and the hospital is saying that he became disruptive, and that's why they made him leave. He's saying that isn't the case.
Does the hospital receive federal funds?
Yes, that is, and that's part of the story also because Obama issued an executive order, what was it, last year? That
2 years ago.
2 years ago, that said hospitals, if you're going to receive federal funds, which most hospitals do,
in some fashion,
you have to let same-sex partners come visit their partners in the hospital, and they're not obeying that.
And now, when we had Rebecca Covell on, what did she say you should do just in case?
Yes, that's another part of the story. You should have. What is it called?
A medical power
of attorney. And they
not
have
only
one.
did they have one. No. Not only did they have one, but it was on file at the hospital.
It was on file at the hospital.
They had it.
But the nurse refused to look it up, or the who's over that part when you go to the desk or whatever. She refused to look it up. She refused to look it up.
These people need to hang.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, they need to go.
They're going to.
Looks like they're going to. They're going to. And this is the kind of story that makes me think, when it comes to civil marriage, if you're against civil marriage equality, to me, that's not just a difference of opinion. No, I'm sorry, you're a bigot. That's just me. Religion, okay, that's fine. But civil marriage, why would you want someone to be kept away from their loved one?
To me, it's more than that. By doing that, they're not caring for the patient.
They're not.
The number one thing they need to be caring about is the patient, and the best way to care for that patient is to have that patient's closest people around him.
Yes.
Well, and it's about humanity. Where did humanity go? That's my question. I mean, if anybody has someone that cares enough to visit them at the hospital and is concerned about their health and welfare, who are you as a hospital? Who are you as a government? Who are you as a person to deny them access to that person? I mean, it's about humanity.
And that's exactly what it's about, because it's not about we have, you're not letting me shop at this store, or you're not letting me do these things. This is a person's life.
It's his life.
This is a moment you can't reclaim later.
This partner is apparently fairly sick. It's not like he went in for an overnight.
No, he's pretty sick.
He's pretty sick.
And we've heard the horror stories over the decades of people being denied that moment to be with their loved one. And I'm sorry, the bigots don't get this.
Right.
But who wants to be alone when they die?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And who wants to be surrounded by someone who's all they're thinking about is so much hate against a partner that they've just managed to get kicked out? just because they can't stand this idea.
I'd like to talk to the family of the guy who's hospitalized. We don't know the details. I mean, do they not like the partner just because they don't like him, or do they not like him because he's gay?
Well, they're not going to say that.
No, of course. Of course they're not going to say that, but
nobody's going to come out with that.
I just find it hard to believe. I would doubt it if he were a female, they would have asked him to leave. And the hospital sure as hell wouldn't have asked him to leave.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a husband and wife situation.
Yes, exactly.
And I'd like to know what hospital has on file a marriage certificate for any straight couple that goes into the hospital.
No kidding.
Nobody. They don't have it.
Most companies, most employers don't keep a marriage certificate on file. When somebody signs up their, a male employee signs up their spouse and their female spouse and the kids.
Right.
They don't keep that on file.
You know, Patty and I have said over and over after years, if Patty were to go in the hospital, I could walk in there right now and say, I'm her husband. They wouldn't bat an eyelash.
Yep, they would not. Now, some people might because you're a different color than I am.
That's true.
But that would be different.
They might, but they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't deny you.
Yes. No, they just look at Patty and be like, "Whoa, Patty."
Well, this hypothetical's been going for 14 years.
Yeah. Well, they can say, "Well, here's our daughter."
Right there you go.
Proof.
I'd be like, "Hey, here I am in all my glory. I take after my dad."
So yeah, that's one of the. This is just one of those stories.
This is infuriating.
It's infuriating.
Yeah,
I was glad that it got out, but I hated the fact that it still goes on and people don't listen. I don't know if they just don't realize it or they're not listening to us when we're trying to tell them this affects us in very, very serious ways.
You know, one thing that CD does is she's passionate, but today she's so downplaying it. She's got me riled up today because these issues just piss me off. Some of these. This is one that, by denying this care, do you know what the hospital is actually doing? They're actually making more work for themselves, and I've had nurses say this.
And they're going to cost them money too.
They're going to cost.
The U.S. Attorney gets involved.
I can't wait to see how many million this is going to cost that hospital.
Yeah, hopefully the guy who's hospitalized makes it through this and he's released, but they're going to get paid.
Do you know? And the next time he goes into the hospital, if it's something that's chronic, hopefully they don't tell the rest of the family where he is.
Yeah.
And hopefully, he makes it through this, because if he does this,
I hope he makes it through it.
How sad, how sad is it for that guy?
And how much did this contribute to his death?
Right, to his emotional. It's not your physical stuff. It's just not that. We in America don't pay enough attention to mental well-being, and and there's a lot of mentally disabled people that are shamed. And bigotry. And if your body can get sick, why can't your mind get sick?
I've had nurses say to me, we don't care if it's a partner, a friend, or whatever. If there's somebody there by the patient's side, he's less likely to ring the bell and I have to go running. If the patient needs something, that person can get up and convey it to me personally more clearly than I can get over a speaker from somebody who's sick. They want that person there in most cases.
And to lift that cup with the bendy straw and give you a sip of water, I mean,
what a waste of time.
Basic things.
Yeah, but what a waste of time for the nurse to have to do if the patient can't do it himself. If you have somebody who's there, why would you not want that person there for any reason other than all those things? I'm discounting all of them because I don't want the two of you to be together, and my letting you be in this room means I'm recognizing your relationship somehow.
Exactly.
How disgusting. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a word that we can't use.
Don't get too aggressive, David.
We
may have to go over there and go pow, pow, pow.
I guess about 10 or so years ago, way before Gabrielle was born, Danny had to be hospitalized. He had a procedure with his throat, and I was so nervous the whole time. We had our medical power of attorney papers and power of attorney papers, this was even before we got married. And so I was just like, oh, please don't give me any crap. And they didn't. They were very, very nice. And the hospital let me back there. As a matter of fact, when he finished the surgery, the doctor came out himself, and that was the first person he came to. And I was just like, overwhelmed. Like, okay, I don't have to have my guard up and be ready to fight. But
why should that be the first thing on your mind?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't
really
be. But that's where we live in, unfortunately.
This week, I'm jumping topics again. This week you were at the DART meeting. DART is Dallas Area Rapid Transit. For all of my friends up in New York who are listening to this, I have no idea what it is. But DART, you were at the DART board meeting. DART right now is discussing partner benefits.
Right.
That would be equal to what the city of Dallas gives its employees, but
the Dallas County, kind of, and several companies across the city of Dallas.
Most major companies. But what they're their own agency, and so they would have to do it themselves separately. What happened at that meeting?
Well, basically, I've been going with Raphael McDonald of the Resource Center to DART committee, subcommittee meetings, and board meetings and meetings of a whole for the last year.
Because they've been discussing this.
They've been discussing this, and sometimes they can pull behind closed doors. But a part of my speech was that these people were appointed by people to represent all the citizens and residents of Dallas. So to decide to discriminate a certain amount of citizens when you've been appointed to a board to represent all is just unacceptable as far as Get Equal Texas is concerned. But basically, we go into these meetings. I've heard some of the members say Bible verses like Leviticus. I've heard one of the board members say this is not about doing the right thing. It's about budget constraints. It's about cost. And
I have the answer to that one. Okay, so how many gay people do you hire in order to not insure their partners?
People aren't going to come out because we don't have workplace protection, so you're not going to find that out.
If you had that job, CD, and you were married to Lerone.
Hey, Lerone. Hey.
What's up? Lerone would get insurance. But because you're married to Patti, she doesn't.
That's right.
I want to know, and if you had that job, and you're gay, and you quit, and then they hire Patti, who has a husband, Patti gets insurance for her spouse automatically. It doesn't go to the board for them to discuss, well, gee, there are budget constraints. We can't hire more straight people who have partners. I want to know how many straight people they're not hiring and how many gay people they're hiring specifically so they don't have to insure their spouses. That's basically what they're talking about.
Right, and they wanted to see costs of claims. Of actual, because what they've learned is it's less than 1%. Any company, and there's over 233 Fortune 500 companies across the country who have adopted domestic partner benefits, and the DART board wants to see actual cost of claims. This was the pretense that they used. They said, if somebody caught cancer, one of these people's partners caught cancer, what would that cost DART?
Well, they're self-insured as a political subdivision, but in a regional, quasi governmental agency, but the cost of the claims, even if they do that, is a spit in the wind compared to what their budget deficits are and their budget numbers. This is not about, if we don't do this, then we save DART's financial picture. Right. That's not the case.
The answer to that, though, is, and what happens if a married heterosexual's partner, spouse, husband, or wife got cancer? You know what? It would cost you the exact same thing for this employee's spouse as for that employee's spouse.
Why is it now a concern? My spouse is.
I think
it's not right.
It's not about money, and we know that. Like I told them when I spoke at the meeting, it's about discrimination and economic injustice, and it's not about cancer. It's probably about HIV. Because that's what they associate to our community, and so it was about
HIV.
I think it was a backwards way to saying that. And they think, well, how expensive would that care be? And they associate, and even though it's not, even though we're not the biggest group that's infected, actually the highest growing group is African American straight women in the country. So I think that they associate HIV, and they didn't want to come out and say that because how awful would that sound? Even though what they said was awful.
Well, no, I don't even think it's that. I don't think they're concerned about HIV. I think many of those board members have it in their heads that they don't want to approve this in any way, shape, or form for whatever reason, because it's LGBT people.
It's
recognized. But when you state your claim that it's about cost of claim, you're an adult. I have to take your word for it. I can't insinuate because you don't want to co-sign on gay marriage. Well, if you tell me it's about cost, then you're grown up. I have to believe you.
Well, and at the committee of the whole meeting on the 26th, and you were in D.C. and I was with Raphael there, and they were talking about, let's put it off until after the Supreme Court makes their ruling, and we're like, We weren't allowed to speak. We weren't allowed to speak in
Yeah.
the committee of the whole, but in the hallways and before they went in their closed session and then came out of their closed session before the vote and everything, we were like, this has nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter what they rule. Particularly in the Prop 8 case.
The Prop 8 case, who cares? It's about whether or not California is going to... DART doesn't go to California.
And
DART does not go to California.
DOMA doesn't have anything to do with this either.
Well, I mean, what they were scapegoating was they really want this opinion that's supposed to come from the AG's office.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
And which will have no bearing in law whatsoever. It's a freaking attorney general opinion.
Right.
It's not law that anybody's bound by. That's what they really want, but they said the Supreme Court, and I don't think they realized just how ridiculously cowardly and stupid they looked when they said they were waiting on the Supreme Court, when they know damn well it has nothing to do with their decision on domestic partnership.
Now, you're saying they know damn well that it has nothing to do. I don't know that they understood those cases at all, have any idea what the judges are going to be ruling, because the right wing is feeding this garbage that the Supreme Court's going to rule and there'll be gay marriage everywhere.
And all is happy in the land.
Right. That's not what's up before the court.
Well, didn't they just in their Republican Party just adopt an anti-gay marriage?
Not just now. Not just adopt.
No, I'm just talking about this week. They did it again.
In the Republican Party.
Yes.
Just so much for their reform and, wanting to grow the party.
So at the DART meeting, so what did they do? They put it off for another month?
Or another...
No, it's an indefinite delay.
Oh, it's indefinite delay.
Well, not indefinite. It's until the Supreme Court makes a
decision. They're not going to make a
$2.
decision when the Supreme Court makes a decision either. They're not going to make a decision unless they're forced to make a decision.
If the Supreme Court rules that California, they didn't have standing, and so California has same-sex marriage, and if they rule that Edie Windsor, that really is kind of discriminatory there, and they throw out DOMA. That the federal government can write. What does that have to? What are they going to do then?
Well, see, I think that's the problem. They don't realize is that they may overnight have to say, "Oh, we do have to do this," and they're going to scramble and have no preparation whatsoever. I mean,
well, they have preparation. We've been working. Me and Raphael and the Resource Center have been working with this for a year. This has been going on.
They're more
cost.
They handle that. They haven't done anything with it. They don't even acknowledge they understand it.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying is they've got the information, but they're not using it. And if suddenly they made some sort of massively sweeping DOMA ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States,
which they're probably not.
No. But if by some chance that happened, they would be, caught with their pants down at DART because they don't really know. They don't understand how to go forward.
A lot of companies and city entities and governmental agencies be caught with their pants down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It still doesn't include the marriage equality piece of it. I mean, and transgender people are still left out of the, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell thing as well. All this stuff is kind of interconnected, and it's also how we as a community should start communicating and advocating for the transgender community. But come on. This is the joke that keeps on laughing for me. We as a community know that the HRC has been discriminating against people of color and women and transgender for years. We know our community is segregated for years. And my thing is, we'll have an open discussion about it, we'll talk about it, but if you, like being a person like me, and you're willing to advocate for us being more inclusive totally as a community, you get blackballed. Where the term blackball come from. But I don't want to get radical on Knon. I don't want to go dark and aggressive. But let me tell you something. We need to get more inclusive as a community and talk. We all know it's cheap. Who here shops at the dollar store when you're talking about equality? Everybody knows gay people like expensive stuff. Start shopping expensive. Start including people of color. Start including people of transgender. Bisexual phobia, transphobia needs to stop. We as a community are the most segregated community, but we could change that because we're the most beautiful community. We're the most talented community. It's up to us. It starts with you.
NCD, thank you for being with us. We are completely out of time, and you're not blackballed. You come back here again. We'll see you next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.